Sean Schemmel has stated recently that he's watched the One Piece live action and thinks it's terrible. If you somehow live under a rock and don't know who Sean is, he's the voice actor who plays Goku's English voice in Dragon Ball. An absolute legend in the industry. Let's talk about it. Sean had an interview with Bleeding Cool where you can see he talked about the live action after responding to why Hollywood has largely failed in anime live action. Let's see what he had to say.
And I quote,
"It's weird because I've kind of gotten insider view and I've watched Hollywood try to understand anime my entire career. And they still don't get it. It's not until you see, and I'm not entirely sure the anime genre trends will ever translate well to live action. I'm not entirely convinced," Schemmel said. "I've only watched part of the live action One Piece from Netflix and I frankly think it's terrible. The 2009 Dragon Ball Z live action movie was also terrible for a different reason though. They had switched directors halfway through before they even started production. It's interesting to watch Hollywood trying to grab onto it and try to get into that space. The first thing I think of when I read this is, Sean, you're a fucking idiot."
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Alright, chill, I'm kidding. Sean, if you're somehow watching this, don't block me. I try not to be a toxic One Piece fan who can't take it when someone talks bad about One Piece. You have to be able to hear both sides of something, and while I do disagree with him in this statement of his, I'm not gonna say some stupid shit like Sean has lost my respect or anything like that. And I asked the 2 or 3 people watching this video in the One Piece community to do the same too, and don't make the fan base look toxic and stop liking Sean because you don't agree with him. But I can see why he would think that, and that's largely because Sean is involved with the anime community so heavily. He's already a fan of anime, and from what it looks like, he believes that anime is just going to look goofy translated to the big screen at the end of the day, which is fair because a lot of the things are hard to pull off live action due to how they're written or presented in the source material or just how they look. This is a small example, but Usopp's nose being something a lot of fans wanted to see, but it's just one of those things that don't work out well. Thankfully, they didn't include it. Or in other cases, certain lines being presented in live action. I've had some non-anime fans watch the One Piece live action, who loved it by the way, but tell me how off-putting it was to see certain things like Luffy repeating himself and raising his arms in the air. You know that one scene where he helps Nami and says, "Of course I will." And while I love this scene because I'm a fan and knew what to expect, that's totally fair to say. You have to remember that the people watching are either One Piece fans who are just happy that they finally made something that matches the source material and not switching up, ruining the series we love, or just a ton of new fans who never even try to watch anime, therefore it doesn't bother them too much. A lot of the times the new fans are watching this because the original fans of One Piece are showing them this as a gateway to get into the anime, which isn't a bad thing, and it's definitely working. But let's see what else he had to say. It's interesting, and I'm sorry about my opinions. I feel as a public figure, I feel so nervous about even saying I don't like the One Piece live action very much. That's not necessarily the crew and cast's fault, he explained. They're probably all talented. That's more of the execution and in terms of the genre translating. Once we see a real bona fide attempt by a high budget studio handling the effects, they do in anime because you also got to reconcile a big part of anime. A big part of the style is giant eyeballs, which make a big difference in the style. When you're shooting anime, everybody's human beings with normal sized eyeballs, but anime has these giant eyes that have fascinated everyone for decades. It's part of the style, and that alone, plus the hair, special effects, and subject matter, can beat. He's already way ahead of me in saying he's nervous to speak his opinion on the live action, which sucks because he shouldn't be. To some people, he's gonna come across as a hater, but nah. He's just speaking what he thinks. Let's be honest, Sean isn't the only human out there who still thinks live action for anime shouldn't be done. The One Piece live action definitely flips some people's opinions, and there are certainly more believers now, but don't act like you still haven't seen people hate on it and say things like how bad it was to see Netflix attempt this. But again, Dragon Ball Evolution and One Piece live action are immensely different and shouldn't even be compared. And I know he said in his opinion they were both terrible for different reasons, but even then it's incomparable. Dragon Ball Evolution was literally the worst live action of all time, and there isn't an ounce of good in that movie. Meanwhile, the live action is at least decent for One Piece. I think it's more than decent, but some people will say it's at least decent. And as a fan, I can name a ton of good. Even if I wasn't a fan, I can name a ton of good. Come on, Sean, it's not that terrible, and it's exactly what One Piece should be live with a crew who actually loves the series and put passion into it, unlike that crew who try to cash in for Dragon Ball. I just can't agree with saying both are just as terrible, even if I wasn't a One Piece fan, because as a non-fan, you can still see the effort put into the Netflix live action, and it's certainly entertaining at the very least. I don't know. At the end of the day, you can't please everyone, and Sean is still the GOAT for his voice of Goku. What are your guys' thoughts on this though? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and drop a like and sub if you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.